Hello and happy Tuesday. My name is Wendy Lee and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the US and super excited that you're joining me today in my Creatively Yours studio for some paper crafting fun. Yay! Great way to start off our week, right? We got through Monday. Blah. Now we're moving on to the back half, right? Tuesday counts, right? We've passed Monday, so it's got to count, right? All right, so what are we going to do today? I have got what I think, of course, is super cute project using the Bloom Where You're Planted product suite, or a few items from the Bloom Where You're Planted product suite. Maybe that's the name of it. I think that's right. So let me show you what we're making. So we're doing this super cool, creating this little, like a plant ladder, right? And putting all of our plants on display and then cute, right? I think it's fun. Lots and lots of fun. All right, should we switch over, make sure we're in the right place and get paper crafting? I think we should. Oh, you might notice behind me some sneak peek cards. I'll talk to you about those in a moment too. Let me switch my camera over. Yay, 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 yay. Fix that setting. All right. Hopefully my lighting is good now. And we'll check our other setup and make sure I can see your comments. Hopefully you can see my screen. Oh, poop. Oh, I'm there. Yay. Slow, but I'm getting there, right? The changeover of things is not easy. All right, so we are featuring again the Plentiful Plants stamp set and the coordinating plant dies. I think it's perfect plant dies, okay? And then we are also pulling in the Bloom Where You're Planted designer series paper that's from this suite as well. Hey, Elise, so glad you're here. Hey, Tammy. Hey, Gwen. Hey, Mary. Well, you guys are popping in quick. All right, perfect. So again, we're featuring the Bloom Where You're Planted 12 by 12 designer series paper. This is awesome. We're really going to use the paper today. And this is one of 9 papers, you guys know this already, but I'm going to say it anyway, that's on sale. It's 15% off this pack of paper this month. So you definitely want to order this before the end of July. I will put in, after the video, I will go back in and put the full supply list. So if you need to add anything else to your orders besides designer paper, you can do so. And you'll have the complete cut dimensions and all of that as well. We are also pulling in one of the wood grain prints from the In Good Taste designer series paper pack. So this one, okay, so that is my dog, Nikita, yelling at me for whatever reason. So hopefully she leaves us alone and I can finish the video. But chances are that may not happen. So, all right. So we've got the prints on the front side, and then I've got additional prints on the back side because this one has, instead of 6 double-sided designs, it has 12. Then we also have the Tidings of Christmas designer series paper, the Sweet Symmetry designer series paper, Pansy Petals, In the Wild, Hand Penned, Beauty of the Earth, and Aurora Peach. All 9 of those are 15% off this month. Woohoo! Yay! All right. So we are going to focus. I know she's so it's funny to hear the dog talk, but yet it's not when she comes in and yells at you all the time. So I'm going to have to go shut my door. It's not that we won't hear her because she'll go around the corner and she'll find another way to come in. So I've got to shut 2 doors and then I will be right back. So no, we're shutting you out. So I will deal with her in a moment when we're all done paper crafting. So now she's going to butt her head at the door and try to bust in. So she may get in, you never know. But yes, she's a husky and she is definitely a talker. So, all right. Back to what we're making. So we are making this, I think, gorgeous little plant ladder with our lovely potted plants on it. It's a little thank you card. We've got a little texture going on our designer paper, which is always fun. And then we've got some elements brought to the inside. Now, this stamp set is really awesome. It's a distinctive set. So you've got your lights and darks. And so it stamps really, really nicely. And it's got a wide variety of sentiments in it. Now today I didn't stamp any of the images. I'm just cutting out of the designer series paper. So if you join me, so those samples I mentioned that were behind me, I have posted right now a Plentiful Plants summer stamp camp, and it's 14 projects, and you could see a peek of them behind my head. So they're not hard projects. They're pretty fast and easy projects. There's some layers going on, but it's, we're going to use all the stamps. We are going to use our designer paper, but they're just beautiful all occasion cards that you'll be able to use. So hopefully you'll join me for that. So that registration is due July 30th, I believe, which is a Friday. All right, let's go ahead and jump in and get started on this one, because this one's going to take me a little bit today because there's a lot of little pieces. So if you don't like lots of little details, this may not be your project. But if you like lots of little details, you might love this project, right? All right, so let's start off with an 8.5 by 5.5 inch piece of thick white cardstock. Yes, my puppy does want her own papers from the catalog. So the dog will actually, I have to be careful because she literally eats my homework. So I had a class scheduled, face-to-face class. People were coming to class, and I had everything set up the night before, and because it was going to be an early morning. And lo and behold, I came in and the dog literally ate my project samples. Now, this wasn't a fast, easy card class, mind you. This was my Forget-Me-Not, which is a little more advanced, has lots of layers, lots of things going on. So I was not a happy camper, but she is known for literally eating my cards. It's crazy, right? All right, so we've got our thick white cardstock for our card base. And then we are going to bring in this brick and mortar. Hopefully you guys can see this. Now, if my focus keeps going in and out, let me know. I didn't lock the focus this time. I wanted to see if it would do a little bit better visually if I didn't lock it. But sometimes then it will focus in and out and it will make you nauseous. So let me know. So I've got the brick and mortar folder, and I actually took a piece of the designer paper, and I hope that you can see how cool that is, and added texture to it. Now, is there a print in this pattern paper pack that has bricks on it? Yeah, there is one, but I chose not to use that one. I chose to use this one, which is very similar. It just doesn't have the brick print already printed on it. And then I just added this subtle texture. I just thought it was anyway, I thought it was nice. We'll go with that. So this designer series paper layer, let's see if I've got my sheet right. It's 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. Again, I will put the measurements in afterwards. And then I'm going to layer this on a piece of cinnamon cider cardstock, which is 3 3/4 by 5. All right. So we'll go ahead and layer this. I'm going to slide those over. I don't get all those dirty. Yeah, embossing on the designer paper is fun. I don't know if you guys do that very often. I forget about it sometimes, but it adds a nice little touch to it. Just changes it up a smidge, right? All right, so we've got that there. I'm going to go ahead and put this right on my card front, and we'll just build right on the layer. So we're going to get our dimensionals out. You don't have to pop this up if you don't want to pop this up. You can do it flat. I know I get a little crazy with all my layers, which I personally love. Yeah, you think that, yeah, the embossing folder is a nice touch, yeah, versus a busy paper, yeah. You know, the brick pattern is really nice. I have another sample that I did using it for the class, and it actually is super cute. But for what I was doing today, I have so much, I have so much going on. I just wanted something a little softer. Okay, so we've got our card base set, ready to go. Next, let's bring in our ladder pieces. So I'm going to pull in my silicone craft sheet because I'm going to need that bad boy, because I got lots of messy gluing getting ready to happen. And so what I did was I cut out 1/4 inch strips, and I need to change my cutter blade, don't I? Because it's fraying. So I've got 1/4 inch strips. 2 of them are 4 3/4 long, and 2 of them are 4 inches long. So I'm going to build my ladder with these. And then for my steps, I cut cinnamon cider. I've got these backwards. Let's do it this way. So I've got one that is, these are 3/8 tall, but this one's 2 1/2, 2 3/4, and 3 inches. And I added texture with the bark embossing folder to these. I thought that was kind of a nice big chunky block of wood feel to it. Yes, you can totally add ink to the embossing folder and it will add yet another dimension to it. Yes, I wanted a softer look, so I did not do that in this instance here. All right, so there's my two long ones. Here's my two shorter ones. So let's build a ladder, right? Like I said, this has got a lot of little pieces to it. So if you don't like a lot of little pieces, this, again, might not be your favorite of the projects that I've done. But if you love stuff like this, yes, you'll like this one. All right, so I am gluing those together and I am just kind of making a little bit of a ladder out of it. Is my perspective exactly correct? Probably not, but it's paper and it should be fine, right? So I've got these two going straight down in the middle and then these coming out to the side. Whether that's good or bad, we'll find out as we go. And we may angle it as we go. We'll see. All right, so that's the base of my ladder. Now I want to connect it with my little steps here. So I'm going to start with this bottom step because this is going to tell me how wide I want these placed. So, and again, I'm going to glue this down flat. I'm using this one as a guide and I'm going to add some adhesive. So let's start with this one side. Let me just put a dot of adhesive right there. It keeps sticking to my hands. I'm already sticky. Wow. All right. I'm just going to lay this down and I want it sticking out past the ladder just a smidge because I think that's nice. All right. So let's add a dot of glue on those. And we're just going to slide this one underneath. Whoa. I say that and then it sticks to me again. Slide that over. So what I'm looking for is kind of the same distance on both sides of that step sticking out past the ladder, right? More or less. Doesn't have to be perfect. Cute? I like it. Next, let's figure out where we want our top step. So I think I want it about there. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on both of those and then lay my top step there. Just hold that down for just a moment. Hopefully I've got them somewhat parallel between the two. They might be off a little bit. And then I want to put in my third shelf. Let's add a little glue there. Put in our third shelf. All right, there's our plant shelf. We built a plant shelf. So later on, when you're talking to your friends and family, you can say, what'd you do today? And say, oh, I built a plant shelf. Turned out great. All right, so I'm going to keep this out because, or do I want to put it down? Maybe I should go ahead. Let's go ahead and put it on the card. Might be nice to go ahead and do it. Now, when I lay this down, I'm going to put this, the bottom's hanging off that layer just a bit. And I'm going to have it over to the left a little bit here. Now, I could have it hanging off, but I think that looks a little strange. So I'm going to kind of do that. So let's put our adhesive on the back. Whee, it's a W for Wendy. Yay. Just kidding. Just going to put a little bit of liquid glue. It might ooze a little. And I'm doing this flat because we're going to pop up our plants. So I don't want to go too crazy with dimension. Oh, good. You wouldn't have tried this? Well, I hope you try it now. Like I said, it's a little more work than you might want. If you were going to make a lot of cards, don't know that I would go to all this effort to make a whole bunch of this particular one. The plants are fun and they're easy. And it's always fun to cut them out of the designer paper, I think, or stamp them and do them. But when you do this many of them on one card, yes, it can be a little bit crazy tedious. All right, let me pull our dies back in and let me grab that cheat on the designer paper. I don't know if the pages are going to be big enough to see, but we will do our very best to do what we can here. All right, so let's talk about our plants. So let's start off at the top. So I've got a little dish that I die cut. And so that I did with basic gray. And I used that cute little pot right there. So that's out of cardstock. Then I cut this little guy out of the designer series paper. And there's not a die that matches this one. There are some dies that match some of the images in the paper, but this particular one does not have a die that matches it. So we're going to fussy cut. Now, fussy cutting these is not too bad. So I'm just going to run around this real quick. You can see most of this already fussy cut so that you do not have to watch me fussy cut all day. So I find when I fussy cut that I do better if I'm moving the paper. You guys have heard me say this. If you've been around me, you've heard me say this. So fussy cut by moving the paper versus moving your scissors, I think works better. Do you have to do it that way? Heck no. You do whatever way works for you, right? And you can take as little time or as much time as you want to fussy cut those out. If it's really important to you to have an equal, edge around it, then go really super slow. That's fine. You don't have to have an edge. It can be uneven. It's handmade. So, it's fabulous no matter what you do. All right, let's go ahead and build this guy. So like I said, there's some tedious things going on. We're going to put a little bit of liquid adhesive on the back here. And I'm going to lay that on the base of this flower. Now I'm going to have some oozing going on with my adhesive because that has holes in it, but that's all right. So we're going to do that. And I'm going to flip this over. Now you don't have to put the adhesive on it if you don't want to. You could have lined them up and just flip this over and used your dimensionals to hold those layers together. So you can totally do that. All right, so that's that plant right there. Cute, right? And he is going to go right on this top shelf here. I love it. Pull those backings off. Again, you don't have to pop them up if you don't want to, but it's so stinking cute. I mean, you could be done, right? I love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right, let's move on to the next plant. Pull the dies back in. I die cut that out of Soft Succulent. Okay. And then I took one of the pots that was actually on the edge of the designer paper. So this one was up at the top edge. So this was the edge of my designer series paper. So I didn't have a full pot. Now, when you're starting to cut little elements out of your papers, you always get so bummed that there's that waste on the edge, right? No, you can use these. So how cool is that to take that little pot, this one here, and die cut it right out of that pot, out of our designer paper. Cool. And it gives it you can barely see it, but it gives a little bit of a shade to it because the pot has some variation in colors. I just think it's fun. Just a different way to use it. So you don't have to waste any of those awesome little pieces. All right, same thing here. We can adhere that together with a little bit of liquid glue. I like to do that. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit on there. Lay my pot over the top of it. And yes, some glue is going to ooze through. It's okay. Pop that upside down, and I'm going to use some dimensionals to put that one down as well. Now, you can use mini dimensionals as well if you don't feel like, if you feel like this is too big. So here, let me put a mini one on there too. I didn't list mini in the supply list, but you could totally pull those in. Do what you're comfortable with. Cute. All right, so we're going to put this one right there on that shelf. We're making progress, making progress. All right, next set of plants. I did it again. This was a pot that was at the very bottom of the designer series paper, so it didn't have a full pot, and I cut this out of it. So this is with the die, and I cut it upside down. So see, because I wanted the stripe towards the bottom. On my original sample, you can see I put the stripe towards the top. So I don't know which way you like better. Just gives you a very different look, I think, little detail. So you can go either direction with those. So right out of the designer paper. And then I fussy cut this plant right here. So again, this was one that was at the bottom of the paper. And so it's supposed to be, I think it's attached to a pot actually in the print, but I didn't have a pot. So I just cut it off and used it. Right? We can make it all work. So I'm going to put a tiny dab of glue there. Place this little pot over the top of it. Hold that for just a moment. And then hopefully I can flip that over without losing that plant. And we'll put some dimensionals on the back here as well and get this popped up. I think on this one, I am going to put a large one there. And then maybe some minis. I should have put minis on the supply list. I didn't. I'd forgotten that I used them. But you could always cut the edges. You know, I probably did that. Cut the edges of your large ones as well. So, you know, after you use all these insides, you have all this great edge that you can use. That's 100% usable. Just clip it apart and use it on all your projects. You can get so much more out of it. I mean, there's 300 in the pack, but why not take advantage of every little bit you can get? All right, sorry, those are harder for me to get off the back. All right, next. Cute. So now we've got ring tier or tier rung 2, tier 2, whatever you want to call it, all planted up, right? Next plant we want to do. So this one here, I die cut with this image. So right out of the designer paper. And then this pot, I also die cut right out of the designer paper. Okay. Now, I think for this one, I'm going to adhere these separately because I think I want to double stack this pot here. So I'm taking the backing paper off of the dimensional and putting a second one on top of it. Okay, and then I'm going to do that with the second dimensional. I like to put 2 on there if I can, if it's big enough to do 2. All right, so that's ready with 2 dimensionals. And I'm going to put a single layer on this part of the plant. So the reason I'm doing this is that I want to make it look like the pot sticks up further than the actual plant, but I don't want it totally flat. Does it make any sense? So we'll place that, how about right there? Yes, that's tall, but I like it. Cute, cute, cute. Now I could have gone over further. Sometimes it's easier to start from the bottom and work your way up, and you can put those little plants wherever you want to, but I like it this way too. All right, last but not least, a fussy cutting dream, right? Or nightmare, whichever way you look at it. So this was cut right out of the designer series paper. It's not too bad to cut. If you enjoy fussy cutting, where's my friend Lori? She loves fussy cutting. So she would enjoy this quite a bit. But it's a fun plant. I think it's a fun plant. Got to be used, right? And we will place this one. I'm going to kind of tuck these close together. Maybe slide that under a little bit. Cute. Isn't that nice? You have a beautiful display of plants that aren't going to die on you. Mine die on me. Probably because I forget to water them. Who else has the issue? All right. Next, let's do our sentiment. So I am going to bring in a scrap. I think we're done with that for, well, maybe not totally. Bring in a scrap. Now, because this is photopolymer, if you want to use a foam pad underneath your stamps while you stamp them, you can. I'm trying to see what I just did with mine. I think I buried it. I don't even see it. I've not had a problem with this particular stamp set, so I'm not worried about it. But if you are having trouble with photopolymer, put a piece of foam underneath. You know, we have our Pierce mat, which works fabulously. You could take the foam out of your Stamparatus. It's a little thinner. Oh, I'm grabbing the wrong one. Anyway, just something cushy because photopolymer doesn't have that cushion like the red rubbers do. And so sometimes you need that cushion. Now I'm, again, not having problems. Now watch, as soon as I stamp this, I'll have a problem just because I said that. But I pulled in a little note with the biggest thanks, but I only want biggest thanks. So one of the cool things about our ink pads is that the side is raised, right? The pad is raised itself. And this is photopolymer. So I can see, more or less, I can see where I'm inking up. So I'm only inking up the biggest thanks. Now, some stamps are easier to do. Hopefully you guys can see that. Some stamps are easier to do that than others. If the words are too tight, you can simply color your stamp with a Stampin' Write marker, not blends, a marker. Color it with a marker, and then you can stamp right down, and it's called masking or omitting. So you can just choose the words that you want, but this works pretty good. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm using Evening Evergreen ink. I don't think I told you what ink color I pulled. All right, so then I'm pulling in this label right here from the Potted Succulent dies, and we're going to die cut that out. And I've got a fabulous label here that's going to go on the front so nicely there. But I need some linen thread, and I got to go run and get it because I went to get it and grabbed the wrong color. So just a moment as we grab some linen thread. All right, so I've got my spool of linen thread, and I'm just going to wrap it around my fingers, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 times. That looks good. There's no right and wrong way to do it. So I'm just wrapping it around my fingers and get my fingers out. Give it a little twist, right? And then I am going to put some adhesive on the back of this. Let's bring in our silicone pad again. I'm just running some tape across there. And then I'm literally going to just kind of smush it, my technical term there, smush it to the back of this sentiment here. And if you don't like how it sits, then pick it up and move it. Put it in the adhesive where you want it to be. Yeah, I like that. Kind of a nice big chunk of thread, but I think it's cool. All right. So now I want to adhere this to my card front, and I want this hanging out. I'm going to go past this edge a little bit. So this is double popped, so I don't need a dimensional at the end, right? Because it's going to go flat on that pot. So I do want to add dimensionals in the center here where it's straddling this pot there. I think for alignment purposes, I think I'm actually going to put it right on the card instead of the sentiment layer. I think I'll do better. Okay, so there's that. Now, if I want to support it out here, I need to double stack, right? So let's put one out here since we know that we're going to purposely place it so that it hangs off the edge. We'll go ahead and double stack out there. And hopefully I'm somewhat straight and we won't see these in the end. And you know what? I might put just a dab of liquid adhesive on that end. Don't know that it needs it, but it can't hurt anything, right? We're going to lay this down. Now, I don't want my point to go past my outer edge, but I do want it to go. Now, I'm doing this without being able to see where I'm placing this. So hopefully I'm on. Oh, I can see the dimensionals a little bit. I got a little bit low. Well, hopefully you guys get what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to give that a real good push and let that dry for just a moment. Cute. So it wasn't too bad to build, right? Fun element for scrap. Oh yeah, this would be awesome for a scrapbook page and well worth all the extra time, right? So I would have to send this to someone that either loved plants, just loved plants, or was a really special person, because this one takes a little time, right? It's a little time consuming. Okay, let's bring our design to the inside, right? We want to do that. So you could stamp or you could cheat like I did. And I am going to bring in a piece of basic white. So this basic white is the same size as my designer paper on the front. And then I've got a piece of cinnamon cider, same size as the piece on the front. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to stamp You Touched My Heart, and then we're going to glue in one of our designer paper plants that we fussy cut already. Again, you could totally stamp this and it would be super cute as well. It depends on your mood and what you want to do. Right, so some Evening Evergreen ink, and I'm going to stamp. I like to stamp, change it up and stamp at the bottom sometimes. Okay, that was bad. We just flip that over. I don't think I inked up my image very well. All right, let me try again. I get 2 tries and then I'm gonna have to pick one, right? That's what you get in class too. All right, not too bad. I think I let the ink dry on it too long. All right. Add a little liquid glue to the back of my plant. My dog's back. She's outside the door. She's waiting to see if she can get my attention. She's pacing up and down the hall, actually. So annoying. She obviously wants something. Okay. I I'm going to add some adhesive to the back, cover up my boo-boo. So you guys know when I send you, when you place orders with me or participate in a class, you always get a card for me or a little gifty. And I would hate to say that many of those projects probably have something on the back that isn't intended to be there. Right? All right. We'll slide this layer right on the inside to finish it off. Doesn't it add such a nice touch to add the layers on the inside, bring that design to the inside? You could add a strip of designer series paper. Sorry, this little, for whatever reason, that little speck of frayed cardstock is driving me nuts. I've got to check my blade because I didn't realize it was this bad, but it's fraying all these little pieces. I could say that that was intentional to give it a distressed look, but it wasn't. All right, but yes, doesn't it just make the card adding those layers to the inside? Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, but I do like to add that little touch on the inside. Cute. Now you could bling this up. You could add some Stella, you could add some jewels, but I don't think it needs it. I think it's got so much texture and interest with the designer paper and the embossed layers and then all the little details with the plants. It's got lots of great variation in color. So anyway, I hope that you guys love this. Yes? All right, so give it a try. Let me know how it goes. If you're enjoying the content, be sure to share with your crafty friends. Help support me and my business. And don't forget to, if you're loving this particular suite, that you might want to sign up for my class because there are some stinking cute projects, simpler than these, yes, but stinking cute cards that we're going to be creating. There's one little gift box as well for note cards. So 14 projects in all for the stamp count. And then stock up on your designer series paper while it's still on sale this month. All right. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a fabulous week and I will catch you next week. I think next week's theme is going to be Christmas in July. I'm working on some things. So I think it's all going to be about Christmas in July next week. All right. Thank you and have a great week. I'll catch you guys soon. Bye for now.